gland is the only known iodine containing compound with biological activity. Okay? Thyroid is the only gland that can manipulate or that can synthesize or that can utilize the iodine by a human body or animal tissue. So thyroid, to have a normal function of thyroid gland, we need to have a appropriate concentration of iodine supplied to those gland, and that is, and basically the only source of iodine, especially in our landlocked country, is the iodinated salt, because we lack seafood, because seafood contains lots of iodine, and other there are different other foods that have iodine content. But being in a landlocked country, the major source of iodine would be in other part of world also. The major source of iodine is the iodinated salt. The salt that has been iodinated are the only source of good iodine in our diet that supplies the good concentration or appropriate concentration of iodine to the thyroid gland. Now, the iodine that are supplied to the, let me first go to the, it's biosynthesis, because before understanding the other thing, you need to understand the biosynthesis, how thyroid hormone takes the iodine. Has it been done? Has it been discussed? Biosynthesis of tetraiodine, triiodothyronine. Anybody? यसको क्लास भएको छ पहिला?
Yes, sir.
भइसकेको छ है यो biosynthesis? Okay, fine, thank you. Then it will be very easy for me to go through it. Okay, but also let me revise it. So biosynthesis. So let us revise. Iodine that are taken are transported into the thyroid cell by a symporter called sodium iodine symporter. That transported iodine goes oxidation in the presence of enzyme thyroid peroxidase. Please remember thyroid peroxidase, because it has very important role in pharmacology, as there are different drugs that inhibit this enzyme and helps in hyperthyroid case. So there is a very important enzyme called thyroid peroxidase that oxidizes the iodine, and then again after iodination there is a coupling process in which monoido, diido, triido and tetraido thyroids are formed. So again they are phagocytes or pinocytes inside the thyroid cell. Then again they are undergo lysosomal degradation and they are converted into T3 and T4, and MIT and DIT again recirculates this process. So T3 trihydro, T4 tetrahydrothyroxine, now they are released in a circulation, and this T3 and T4 has a very good physiological function as well as same as physiological as well as pharmacological importance. These are all about the biosynthesis. So go through it. Now let me come to the pharmacology. So the only non-iodine containing compounds with biological activity are T3 and T4 that are synthesized by thyroid gland under the topic of iodine. So it has a very good important function. That means two important. That is number one, in developing animals and human beings, determinants of normal development. That means thyroid hormone are required for the normal tissue development, especially brains and other all kinds of organ, and in adult to maintain the metabolic homeostasis affecting the function of virtually all organ system. So there are now, as we know, there are two disorders of thyroid glands within representation. Either they are hypothyroid case or hyperthyroidism case. Only two presentation are till now noted. Now either it could be hypothyroidism or it could be hyperthyroidism. In both cases, if it is hypo, there is increase in shape and size, but decrease secretion. In hyperthyroidism, similarly, same thing, decrease secretion. So for the hypothyroidism case, the treatment is only focused on hormonal replacement therapy. No other synthetic compounds are given for the treatment of hypothyroidism case. If a patient is suffering from hypothyroidism, the drug that we give is as a hormonal replacement therapy, T4. The hormones that are synthesized by our thyroid gland are given as a replacement as a form of drug. That means in case of hypothyroidism, no other synthetic compounds are available. Only you need to remember T3, either T3 or T4 are given for the treatment of hypothyroidism. Case finished. That's it. Nothing more for hypothyroidism. But if the case is for hyperthyroid patient, then now there is a good list of drug classification available for the treatment of hyperthyroidism case. So either we use antithyroid drug, we have a good classification, we'll discuss later on in our next class. We have an antithyroid drug, or we go for destruction of gland by administration of radioactive iodine or by surgical removal, thyroidectomy. In a short form, we say either we go for thyroidectomy or we give radioactive iodine to destroy that hyperactive thyroid gland in case of hyperthyroid patient. So in a nutshell, for hypothyroidism, it's very simple. It's very simple. We go for hormonal replacement therapy. Basically, we go for T4. Finished. Whatever the role of T4 is in our body, that is given as an hormonal replacement therapy. And for the case of hypothyroidism, either we use drug to suppress the thyroid activity, either we use drug to suppress the hyperthyroidism, or we go for thyroidectomy. That is the simple overview of both in case of hypo and hyperthyroidism case. So today we will be only discussing about hypothyroidism case. In next class, I will be discussing about antithyroid drugs. So as now we know that for hypothyroidism, we always go for hormonal replacement therapy, that is T4 or T3. Generally, we go for T4, tetrahydrothyroxine. So thyroid gland produces 2-iodo amino acid hormone. As we know, T3 and T4 are the final products of thyroid gland. And calcitonin, do you remember C cells? C cell produces calcitonin in my previous class, which regulates calcium. So now the two important functions of T3 and T4 in case of thyroid hormones. In normal conditions, 70% of the both T3 and T4 are bound with thyroglobulin. That is thyroid, also known as thyroid binding globulin. And 30% of the T3 are bound with albumin, suggesting that the T3 has an acidic nature, because we know that acidic compound bounds with albumin. So T3 and T4 are acidic in nature, but do not have any significant role. So these are all about biosynthesis. Now receptors is very important. Receptors, 2 genes for the thyroid hormone receptors are available. Either they are alpha or beta, and they are written as thyroid receptor alpha 1, thyroid receptor alpha 2, or thyroid receptor beta 1 and thyroid receptor beta 2. Aggregately, there are 4 types of thyroid hormone receptor. They are divided into alpha and beta, and alpha also has thyroid hormone alpha 1 and alpha 2, thyroid hormone beta 1 and beta 2. And the activity of the thyroid hormone is determined by the presence of these all 4 kinds of receptors in an organ system. These receptors are found in chromosome 17 and 3 respectively. They may sometimes act in MCQ. So thyroid hormone receptors may bound to the specific thyroid hormone receptor element. There is an element in a gene inside the nucleus called thyroid hormone receptor element in a DNA, which has to be activated by thyroid receptor to go to see the transcription and translation process, and ultimately production of protein. It's not cell. So I'll be discussing about mechanism again. So now, as a preparation, we have natural desiccated iron, animal origin, directly obtained or purified from the animals, which are called natural, and they are not used. Generally, synthetic formulation of T4 are used as a hormonal replacement. So there are 3 forms of thyroid hormone available: T3, T4, and combination of both T3 and T4. It's very simple, very easy. As a preparation, natural fine, not used, because we have very good synthetic compound of T4 and T3, and both combination of T3 and T4. So for T4, we call it as a L-levothyroxine. For T3, we call it Leo, Leo, that is Levo, Leo, and Leotrix. But both combination of T4 and T3. So in general prescription or in general common use, the only or mostly used form of preparation of thyroid hormone is T4. Please remember T4. T4 is the L-thyroxine is on the preferred. They might ask you in MCQ again. So which of the following is preferred for the hypothyroidism case? You should always remember T4. T4. Why? Because See with the T3 here, triido, 4M, they are costly. M1M for money, they are costly. T3 are costly than compared to T4. Multiple dose are required for T3, whereas single dose is sufficient for T4. And single dose is sufficient for T4. Monitoring is very much difficult for T3, whereas monitoring is not difficult for T4. And myocardial toxicity is seen more with the use of triiodothyronine compared to tetraiodothyronine. That's why T3 is mostly or more preferred drug for hypothyroidism case compared to other these two. So, and in clinical setting also you would find, you can go and see, or you can just take some knowledge that they will always prefer, they will always prescribe T4. T3 is not used. So you should always remember hypothyroidism as an hormonal replacement therapy. No other drugs are available. As an hormonal replacement, since the cases of hypo, they are deficient of the hormone, they go for hormonal replacement therapy, and the available as most safe and mostly preferred would be T4. That's it for hypothyroidism, nothing more than that. You should always remember hypo, hormonal replacement, among only available T3, T4, and their combination. So among these three, we always go for T4. That's it. So there is a difference here. T3, they are less secreted. T4, they are more secreted. They are more protein bound. 5 times being T3, 5 times more potent, and T4, 15 times more plasma protein bound. See here. Though T3 is more potent, but T4 is 15 times more bound to plasma protein thyron binding globulin. That means if you give a drug once a day, they can bind with the plasma for longer period, plasma protein for longer period of time. That means they have a longer duration of action. And T4, if given compared to T3, since they have higher plasma protein binding, they can act as a storage for the hormone, and they can be given as a supply for longer duration compared to T3. That is why T4 are more preferred since they are longer duration action. And as we also know, peripherally all T4 are converted to T3, and T3 shows more receptor action compared to T4. That's why T4 are given as a supplement, because T4 has more plasma protein binding, they remain in plasma for longer duration, and they can supply T4 for longer duration compared to T3. That's why T4 are more preferred. See their effect, peak effect for 6 to 8 days, and it has only 1 to 2 days, being more plasma protein binding. And affinity for receptor is being more converted to T3 by deiodinase. That's why T4 are given, because T4 are ultimately converted into T3 in the cytoplasm. The T4 that we give remains in the plasma for longer duration, and they go to the cytoplasm. Once they are transported into cytoplasm, they are again converted into T3, and now T3 has more receptor affinity, and T3 shows this mechanism of action. So better giving T3, we go give T4. T4 is again T4 remains in the body for longer duration compared to T3. Then T4 is again converted into triiodothyronine, and now diethylene. So its action being more potent, has more receptor affinity. That's why T4 are more preferred compared to T3. So this is the mechanism. It has a bit complex mechanism of action. T4 and T3 both present in the plasma. They are transported inside a cytoplasm. This is a cell. Inside a cell, this is a nucleus. Here we have a cytoplasm, and T4 has to be converted or are converted into triido by an enzyme, dehydrogenase. It's called hydrolysis process in our biosynthesis. If you remember, hydrolysis of T4, they are converted into T3 by deiodinase enzyme. Now the T3 has a affinity with this receptor. T4 also has affinity with these receptors, but they are more potent and having more receptor affinity. Ultimately, T4 shows this action more compared to, T3 shows this action more compared to T4. That's why we give T4. It acts as a supply house and continuously supplies T3 for the receptor in the nucleus. If you give T3, they could also act, but they are very less plasma protein binding, and their hydrolysis would be very fast compared to T4. So we always go for T4. Please remember, always triiodothyronine. tetrahydrothyroxine. So now we have a receptor called thyroid hormone receptor, TR, and thyroid hormone receptor is in an, this is not core express, this is co-repressor. Co-repressor, they are bound in a bound with the co-repressors. That means one, since the thyroid hormone are in bound condition with the co-repressor, they cannot show its action on thyroid hormone response element in the gene. This is in a normal condition. Now what happens? Since here transcription is repressed. So what happens once you give T4, they are converted to T3 and available T3. Again, they directly go into the nucleus. Now they bind with the thyroid hormone in the nucleus. Once T3 binds with the thyroid hormone nucleus, automatically these co-repressor are replaced by the co-activator. This is a bit complex mechanism. So you need to understand that once trihydrothyronine binds with the thyroid hormone receptor, which is a retinoid X receptor subfamily. So just let it be. So once the thyroid T3 binds with the thyroid receptor, the co-repressor, which is already inbound with this thyroid receptor, removed or replaced by the co-activator. Now, once they are replaced by the co-activator, since the name suggests that they are co-activated, now it activates the function of thyroid hormone, and then only thyroid hormone receptor can now bind with the thyroid receptor element in the gene. Now they can activate the thyroid receptor element in the gene. Now there is a complete transcription and translation process and formation of tissue specific new proteins. That's why thyroid hormone has the effect on every cell, each and every part, except like brain, gonads, spleen. They do not show their action on those tissues. Beside those tissues, they can show their action on each and every cell to produce the cell or tissue specific proteins. I'll be coming later. So this is the basic mechanism of thyroid hormone. You need to understand there is a receptor for thyroid hormone which are been repressed, which are in repressed condition or co-repressed. They are in suppressed condition. So to activate those suppressed receptor, trihydrothyronine are required. Once trihydrothyronine binds with the receptor, there is a replacement of co-repressor by the co-activator, and replacement of co-activator now starts transcription and translation process and starts forming new protein, which is cell specific or tissue specific new protein. That's it for the. So what you need to remember, they are converted first. Initially, they are transported into cytoplasm, converted into T3, because we always give T4, we do not give T3. So they have to be converted into T3 by deiodinase. Then they act on the thyroid hormone receptor. After binding with the thyroid hormone receptor, there is a activation of this thyroid hormone receptor, which activates thyroid response element in the gene. That means ultimately they result into transcription and translation. This is the basic mechanism. So now let us go to the action of the thyroid hormone, obviously in the growth and development, because through control of DNA transcription, ultimately protein synthesis, they are very much required for the tissue and all kinds of tissue development, because they activate protein synthesis. So they are required, especially brain development in early children. See here, absence of thyroid hormone during the period of active neurogenesis, that is up to 6 months of postpartum, leads to an irreversible mental retardation called cretinism. That's why thyroid hormone should be checked in pregnant women once frequently, because the level of thyroid hormone may affect the newborn baby, and up to 6 months of the postpartum, if the hormone level is very low in the mother as well as in the children, that means they may show a irreversible disease condition. So thyroid hormone is very important for both brain development as well as body development. Allergenic effect, as we know, to condition is a characteristic response to thyroid hormone increase O2. Heart, skeletal muscle, liver, and kidney are stimulated much by thyroid hormone. Others are also stimulated, but they have more effect on heart, skeletal, liver, and kidney, whereas brain, gonads, and spleen are unresponsive. That means they do not have any effect on their calorogenic effect on these organs. In hyperthyroidism case, there may be high activity in the heart, higher activity, high energy production in the muscles, livers, and higher activity in the kidney, but the calorogenic activity in the brain, gonads, and spleen are very much unresponsive in case of hyperthyroidism case, because they are not regulated. The calorogenic effect is not regulated in those organs. They manufacture their own T3 and T4. So mechanism of calorogenic effect has been elusive, not understood, but also they have some theories available that they uncover mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation. It may be due to T3 stimulates lipolysis, provides a link between lipogenesis and thermogenesis. Could be, or they induces the expression of several lipogenic enzymes, including malic acid and fatty acid chains. These are all proposed. It could be due to these effects of the thyroid hormone. There could be the higher energy, higher metabolism rate in hyperthyroidism. As we know, hyper case, the patient are lean and thin. Hyperthyroidism patient are lean and thin, whereas hypothyroidism patient are a bit heavy build, isn't it? It is due to the calorogenic effect of thyroid hormone T3. Hyper case, more metabolism, more calorogenic effect, lean and thin, no storage of the even in the fatty acids. Whereas in hypo, there is very less calorogenic effect and there is more storage of those compounds and will result into weight gain. These are the difference in the hypo and hyper depending upon the effects of thyroid hormones. Cardiovascular effect is the most important effect of the thyroid hormone. Let me come to, in case of hyperthyroidism, it is called thyroidostorm. Condition is called thyroidostorm because these are the symptoms like tachycardia, increased stroke volume. In case of hypercardiac, hypertrophy is seen, decreased peripheral vascular resistance are seen, and increased pulse pressure are noted by in case of hyperthyroidism. This is due to the because T3 upregulates the gene encoding the sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium ATPase. Do you remember calcium ATPase present in the heart? And beta receptors, do you remember? Catecholamines, adrenaline, noradrenaline, they have a beta receptors as well as alpha receptors, especially in the heart, isn't it? So activity of those receptors are high due to the presence of T3 because they upregulate these enzymes as well as receptors. And there is also alteration in the sensitivity of the cardiac myocytes to catecholamines. That means there is a enhanced in case of hyperthyroidism, whereas depressed in case of hypothyroidism. So in a nutshell, I can say that hypothyroidism, let me come with the hyperthyroidism patient might suffer from increased cardiovascular activity. That means he may be or she may be having tachycardia, increased heart rate, increased stroke volume, and maybe having some increased blood pressure like effect. Whereas hypothyroidism may be having low blood pressure like symptoms. This is due to the T3 effect on cardiovascular system. T3, they increase the synthesis of calcium ATPase, they increase the synthesis of beta receptors, they also increase the sensitivity of cardiac cell to the catecholamines. That means catecholamine has a positive chronotropic, inotropic, and dromotropic effect on the heart. Catecholamines, adrenaline, if you give it, increases the heart rate. Similarly, if there is higher concentration of T3, that means they will increase the activity of catecholamines and also increases the receptor availability and channels available in the cardiac myocytes. So that hyperthyroidism patient will suffer from positive chronotropic, inotropic, and dromotropic effect, and which is very much life-threatening condition compared to hypothyroidism because the person might be having hypercardiac activity. Effects on lipids. Thyroid hormone stimulates metabolism of cholesterol to bile acid. That means they stimulate the cholesterol metabolism. That means hypercholesteremia is the characteristic features of hypothyroid state because hyper decreases the cholesterol level. In hypo, there is less stimulation of metabolism of cholesterol. That means in hypo, patient might be suffering from hypercholesteremia. That means high level of cholesterol in the plasma. This is the effects of hypothyroid might be having hypercholesteremia. This is due to the decreased concentration of hepatic receptor 2 LDL, low density lipoproteins. So enhance lipolytic response of fat cell to catecholamines. They maintain the normal coupling of beta-arginine receptor to catalytic subunit of adenyl cyclase in the fat. So you need to recall all those adenyl cyclase G protein coupled receptor activity of the alpha and beta receptor for the regulation of lipids. So decreasing the activity of microsomal phosphodiesterase. Phosphodiesterase to decrease the cyclic AMP into AMP. So if there is decreased activity of phosphodiesterase, that means there will be high concentration of cyclic AMP. High concentration of cyclic AMP has an active enhancing effect. Carbohydrate hormone accelerates the rate of absorption of monosaccharides from the alimentary tract. That means absorption is high, diminished, glycogenolysis increased, glucogenolysis, that means new synthesis of glucose and glucagon in the liver. That means patient might be having diabetic like symptoms due to the high concentration in case of hyperthyroidism. So insulin requirement generally increase in hyperthyroidism and decrease in hypothyroidism. Because of the hypothyroidism, patient might be having diabetic like symptoms, and if he or she is on insulin, there might be higher dose requirement for the treatment of diabetes mellitus and vice versa for the hypothyroidism. Reproduction, a premature growth of both testes and ovary have been noted. Peristalsis is increased, that means hypo suffering from constipation, hyper suffering from diarrhea obviously, since T3 and T4 both stimulates the peristalsis. So if a person is having a hyperthyroidism, he may be having a frequent symptoms of diarrhea. And if a patient is suffering from hypothyroidism, he or she may be having complaints of constipation. In a renal, they don't have any dietary action, but here hemopoiesis, they stimulate the erythropoiesis by T4. Since T4 stimulates the erythropoiesis, hypo patient might be having complaints of anemia also, or symptoms of anemia also. Reproduction, basically females are more prone compared to male because fertility is impaired in hypo condition. Female will be suffering from oligomenorrhea, and this is the major problem in female suffering from hypothyroidism, because they may go to sterile condition also. Now let me talk about the pharmacokinetic. Generally, we take the drug through oral route early morning. As we wake up early morning, even without taking anything, even water, you take the drug. You should take the drug in empty stomach. Just wake up, take the drug in an empty stomach. This is the practice for taking the T4 preparations early in the morning, once a day. It's always taken once a day. Early in the morning, just wake up, take a drug. Then only after a few minutes or few time, give some time, and then only you can take some tea or other breakfast. So sucralfate, iron, calcium, and proton pump inhibitors inhibits their absorption. So should not be taken with these drugs. Induces like rifampin, phenytoin, and carbamazepine increases the metabolism. Now uses, it has only one use as a replacement therapy in deficiency state and in other different types of disease conditions like cretinism, adult hypothyroidism, also known as myxedema, coma, goiter, and thyroid nodules, and papillary carcinoma, thyroid. These are the general uses of T4 preparations. Generally, in your exam, if you become, you could write 2-3 of these, but if you become confused, then what you need to write? Hypothyroidism, number one, because the use of T4 is always in the case of hypothyroidism. Then you think about other hypothyroidism conditions or cases like cretinism, thyroid, goiter, and other different conditions. These are the general use of thyroid hormone. Now, if you have a thyroid problem, are you depressed? These are the symptoms of hypothyroid patient. Hypothyroid, not hyper, hypo. Are you depressed, lethargic, easily chilled? You gain weight very easily? You have a dry skin, hair loss, or suffering from eczema? Do you suffer from muscle ache, constipations, or hoarse voice? Do you have a menstrual irregularities? Are your feet swollen, or legs swollen, and nails are brittle? And do you get a lot of cold flu? Then you could be having a So you could be suffering from hypothyroidism case, and you need to go to the endocrinology department, and you can check your thyroid hormone level, and you can find it out. And opposite is for hyperthyroidism, like high metabolism, feeling too much, you are having tachycardia, frequent tachycardia, having diarrhea, lean and thin. So these are the problem symptoms of hyperthyroidism. So hypo and hyper, neonatal hypothyroidism case, also called cretinism, leads to mental retardation. Rare disease results from provocation of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, that activates the receptor. It causes diffuse enlargement of the thyroid and excessive uncontrolled production of T3 and T4 hyperplasia. So production of TSH is not under critical control. So cretinism, hypo, Graves' disease, hyper. Cretinism, hypo, Graves' disease, hyper. Two disease conditions should never forget. And this much for today. So tomorrow we'll be discussing on anti-thyroid. In our next class, we'll be discussing about anti-thyroid.